Chapter 13. Deep Magic from the Dawn of Time. Yes, and have him rescue, said the witch scornfully. Then, said the dwarf, we had better do what we have to do at once. I would like to have it done on the stone table itself, said the witch. That is the proper place. That is where it has always been done before. It will be a long time now before the stone table can again be put its proper use, said the dwarf. True, said the witch. And then, well, I will begin. At that moment, with a rush and a snarl, a wolf rushed up to them. I have seen them. They are all at the stone table with him. They have killed my captain, Magrim. I was hidden in the thicket and saw it all. One of the sons of Adam. Kill him. Fly, fly. No, said the witch. There need be no flying. Go quickly, summon all our people to meet me here as speedily as they can. Call out the giants and the werewolf and the spirits of those trees who are on our side. Call the ghouls and the bogles, the ogres and the minotaurs. Call the crows, the hags, the spectres, and the people of the toadstool. We will fight? What? Have I not still my vein? Will not their ranks turn into stone even as they come on? Be off quickly, I have a little thing to finish here while you are away. The great brute bowed its head, turned and galloped away. Now, said the witch, we have no table. Let me see. We had better put it again. The trunk of a tree. Edmund found himself being roughly forced to his feet. Then the dwarf set him with his back against a tree and bound him fast. He saw the witch take off her outer mantle. Her arms were bare underneath in the terrible white, because they were so very white. He could see them, but he could not see much else. It was so dark in this valley under the dark trees. Prepare the victim, said the witch, and the dwarf undid Edmund's collar and folded back his shirt at the neck. Then he took Edmund's hair and pulled his head back so that he had to raise his chin. After that, Edmund heard a strange noise, whiz, whiz, whiz. For a moment, he could not think what it was. Then he realized it was the sound of a knife being sharpened. At that very moment, he heard loud shouts from every direction, a drumming of hoofs and a beating of wings, a scream from the witch, confusion all around him, and then he found he was being hunted. Strong arms were around him and he heard big, kind voice saying things like, let him lie, give him some wine. Drink this steady now, you will be alright in a minute. Then he heard the voice of people who were not talking to him but to one another, and they were saying things like, who is got the witch? I thought you had her. I didn't see her after I knocked the knife out of her hand. I was after the dwarf. Do you mean to say she's escaped? A chap cannot mind everything at once. What is that? Ah, sorry, it's only an old stump. But just this point, Edmund went off in a dead faint. Presently, the centaurs and unicorns and deer and birds, they were of course the rescue party which Aslan had seen in the last chapter, all set off to go back to the stone table, carrying Edmund with them. But if they could have seen what happened in the valley after they had gone, I think they might have been surprised. It was perfectly still, and presently the moon grew bright. If you had been there, you would have seen the moonlight shining on an old tree stump and on a very large boulder. But if you had gone on looking, you would gradually have begun to think there was something odd about both the stump and the boulder. And next, you would have thought the stump did look really remarkably like a little fat man crouching on the ground, and if you had watched long enough, you would have seen the stump walk across to the boulder, and the boulder sit up and begin talking to the stump. For in reality, the stump and the boulder were simple, the witch and the dwarf, for it was part of her magic that she could make things look like what they are not, and she had the presence of mind to do so at the very moment when the knife was knocked out of her hand. She had kept hold of her wand, so it had been kept safe too. When the other children woke up next morning, they had been sleeping on piles of cushions in the pavilion. The first thing they heard from the Mrs. Beaver what that their brother had been rescued and broke into camp late last night and was at the moment with Aslan. As soon as they had breakfast, they all went out, and they saw Aslan and Edmund walking together in the dewy grass. Apart from the rest of the court, there is no need to tell you, and no one ever hear what Aslan saying, but it was conversation which Edmund never forgot. As the others drew nearer, Aslan turned to meet them, bringing Edmund with him. "Here's your brother," he said, "and there is no need to talk to him about what it passed." Edmund shook had hand with each of the others and said to each of them in turn, "I'm sorry," and everyone said, "That is all right." And then everyone went very hard to say something which would make it quite clear that they were all friends with him again, something ordinary and natural, and of course, no one could think of anything in the world to say, but before they had time to feel really awkward, one of the leopards approached Aslan and said, "Sir, there is a messenger from the enemy who craves audience." "Let him approach," said Aslan. The leopard went away and soon returned leading the witch drive. "What is your message, son of earth?" asked Aslan. "The Queen of Narnia and empires of the Lone Islands desire a safe conduct to come and speak with you," said the dwarf, "on a matter which is as much to your offense as to hers." "Queen of Narnia, indeed," said Mr. Beaver, "of all the cheek." "Peace, Beaver," said Aslan. "All names will soon be restored to their proper owners. In the meantime, we will not dispute about them. Tell your master, son of earth, that I grant her safe conduct on condition that she leave her wain behind her at that creek oak. This was agreed to, and two leopards went back with the dwarf to see that the conditions were properly carried out. But supposing she turns the two leopards into stone, whispered Lucy to Peter. I think the same idea had occurred to the leopards themselves. At any rate, as they walked off, they four was all standing up on their backs, and their tails were bristling like a cat's. When it sees a strange dog, it will be all right, whispered Peter in reply. He would not send them if it were not. A few minutes later, the witch herself walked out on the top of the hill and came straight across and stood before Aslan. The three children, who had not seen her before, fell shoulders running down their backs and at the sight of her face, and there were low growls among all the animals present. Though it was bright sunshine, everyone felt suddenly cold. The only two people present who seemed to be quiet at their ease were Aslan and the witch herself. It was the oddest thing to see those two faces, the golden face and the dead white face too close together. Not that the witch looked Aslan exactly in his eyes. Mrs. Beaver particularly noticed this. "You have a traitor there, Aslan," said the witch. Of course everyone present knew that she meant Edmund, but Edmund had gone past thinking about himself after all had been talked, and after the talk he had that morning. He just went on looking at Aslan. I did not seem to matter what the witch said. "Well," said Aslan, "his offense was not against you. Have you forgotten the deep magic?" asked the witch. "Let use I have forgot it," answered Aslan gravely. "Tell use of this deep magic." "Tell you?" said the witch, her voice growing suddenly shriller. "Tell you what is written on the very table of stone which stands beside you? Tell you what is written in letters deep as a spear is long on the firestone on the secret hill? Tell you what is engraved on the script of the emperor beyond the sea? You at last know the magic with the emperor, but into Narnia, at the very beginning, you know that every traitor belongs to me as my lawful prey, and that for every treachery I have a right to kill." "Oh," said Mr. Beaver, "so that is how come to imagine yourself a queen, because you were the emperor's hangman. I see." "Peace, Beaver," said Aslan, with a very low growl. "And so," continued the witch, "that human creature is mine. His life is forfeit to me. His blood is my property." "Come and take it then," said the bull with the man's head in a great flowing voice. "Fool," said the witch, with a savage smile that was almost a snarl. "Do you really think your master can rob me of my rights by mere force? He knows the deep magic better than that. He knows that unless I have blood, as the law says, all Narnia will be overturned and perished in fire and water." "It is very true," said Aslan. "I don't deny it." "Oh, Aslan," whispered Susan, in the lion's ear, "I cannot. We, I mean, you will not. Will you? Cannot we do something about the deep magic? Is not there something you can work against it?" "Work against the emperor's magic?" said Aslan, turning to her with something like a frown on his face, and nobody ever made the suggestion to him again. Edmund was on the other side of Aslan, looking all the time at Aslan's face. He felt a cooking feeling and wondered if he ought to say something, but a moment later he felt that he was not expected to do anything except to wait and do what he was told. "Fall back, all of you," said Aslan, "and I will talk to the witch alone." They obeyed. It was a terrible time, this waiting and wondering while the lion and the witch talked earnestly together in a low voice. Lucy said, "Oh, Edmund," and began to cry. Peter stood with his back to the others looking out at the distant sea. The beavers stood holding each other's paws with their hands bowed. The centaurs stamped unison with their hoofs, but everyone became perfectly still in the end. "So, did you notice even smells sound like a bumblebee flying past? Are the birds in the forest down below them? Or the wind rustling the leaves?" And still the talk between Aslan and the White Witch went on. At last they heard Aslan's voice. "You can all come back," he said. "I have settled the matter. She has renounced the claim on your brother's blood." And all over the hill there was a noise as if everyone had been holding their breath and had now begun breathing again, and then murmur of talk. The witch was just turning away with a look of fierce joy on her face when they stopped and said, "But how do I know this promise will be kept?" Her heart wrote Aslan, half rising star rising from his throne, and his great mouth opened wider and wider. The roar grew louder and louder, and the witch, after staring for a moment with her lips wide apart, picked up her skirt and fairly ran for her life.